Can you hear me now? Those of you on YouTube, hello, are you there? My computer just crashed, so I'm just getting it back up and running here. It's the beauty of these kind of events. Being the host, the producer, the the talent, and the planner all in one, I get to wear all the hats. And when things go sideways, I'm the only one here to fix it. So I appreciate that. Great, you guys can hear me now on YouTube. Great, thank you. I'm going to look at TFR, make sure they are hearing me there. I don't know what the hell. It's just one of those days. Are you guys hearing me on YouTube or on TFR? Are you hearing me just fine? Let me know, please, if you would. Can you hear me? Yeah, unfortunately, I can't tell you how many times I've had to start my shows with questions. Can you hear me? What is the color of my shirt? So far, nobody on TFR is responding in the chat, but I assume they will be. Maybe somebody will. Lucky if you're out there hearing the sound of my voice, let me know, please. Indeed, Boy Solomon says they are hearing me on TFR. So I guess this is now a show, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to do my best to try to recover this on my feed as well as I can. Yeah, it's just there's no bracing for when it goes sideways. So it is what it is. But for those of you on YouTube, I guess we're going in. Too much more because this is the nature of the beast here. So I guess you guys might have gotten the intro. Did you hear anything on that intro? Yeah, I have more questions than answers right now, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the Paranormal Portal. This is their Saturday night show. 2 hours of fun, fun-filled paranormal adventure right here on YouTube. So and tfrlive.com, which is also including iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. So I'm just grateful. I did not have a guest tonight. Wanted to show some love. Totally love this show. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that so very much, especially tonight. I can use an attaboy. Let me tell you, God bless it. When things go south, they go all the way to the Antarctic. So thank you for your great generosity. Yeah, absolutely, Julia. Put out the love out there. And thank you to any of you out there in any way that you're part of the shows, whether you're just sitting here watching it with me, keeping us all company, or if you're spreading the word, if you're able to donate, cool, that's great. It's not expected, but it is appreciated. So thank you all so much. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. I don't know. That's whenever these things happen, you just kind of, it just hits you with an uppercut. And I'm just trying to look and see if I've missed anything. Farm, I hope, Farm, do I have audio now? I just got your message, and that's a scary message. But I think everybody can hear me everywhere. That's great. So I got a whole bunch of things pulled up to show you guys tonight, to talk to you about. Don unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. He got another of his own curveballs, so I guess we both got curveballs tonight as far as the fun is concerned here on tonight's show. But you got me, and okay, thank you, Farm. I appreciate that. You got me, and I hope that that's good enough for now, because that's that's all I got to give you. But I got a lot of stuff to talk with you guys about. Several things that I've pulled up for tonight's show, because I just wanted to do a big grab bag of paranormal fun. And right off the top, I love to talk about cryptids and creatures, and that's kind of a loosely the focus of tonight's shows. The last couple 2-hour shows, we did a Bigfoot show last Wednesday, Bigfoot and more. Last night, I did a Dogman and more. Both were fantastic shows, and thank you to all of you out there who were part of it and called in or took part in one way or another, or just came in and watched and have lots of great comments and feedback. I appreciate that a bunch. Because when I hear from you guys, I know more what you want and what you enjoy, and so your feedback is greatly appreciated. And thank you to those that have donated on the PayPal. I appreciate that as well. I want to make sure to throw that out because oftentimes I forget about it. And it's not that I don't sincerely appreciate that generosity there as well. But I see it and then, oh, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. Woo, staying up past my bedtime on New England to listen live. We love you, Brent. Oh, I love you too, Michelle. Thank you so much. That's really cool. Yeah, I need love tonight. It's when the things happen like that, it's like, boop, 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 boop. I don't know. I'm asking a lot of this computer. I've been asking a lot of it for a long time, and it's starting to show its age a little bit. So I don't know what the hell the blue screen is. Twice today it's happened. I probably have got, not enough RAM, one of those issues. So I'm going to have to look into a minor upgrade on the Portal computer because she seems to be a little crabby with me lately. So, but let's see. I wanted to say also, as far as I know, the phones are working. We'll see if if they are. I'll call it myself. But the number for the show is 720-923-0500. And again, 720-923-0500. I just want to see if it works. It's working. Wow. And I can hear myself. And yeah, the phones are working, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just see if I can talk to myself. Hello, I'm on the air. Oh, sorry. Hello, I'm on the air. Yep. It looks like it's working, ladies and gentlemen. I have another phone call. Oh no, that looks like that was Farm calling in to check the phone lines. I hadn't had a chance to check them, obviously, since we're rolling. Oh, thank you, Livewire. Love you guys bunches. Thumbs up right back to you. I appreciate that a ton. Hey, Brent, don't worry. We understand about the issues. We are all still here to listen. Thank you, J-Rock. I appreciate that. It's great to get the love. You guys are awesome. Brent has issues. Thanks, Ethan. Saying it multiple times just makes it so much easier. I'm just kidding. I appreciate y'all. Thank you all for being patient with me. So the first thing I wanted to read and talk to you guys about tonight was one of the creatures that I mentioned before. Everybody's heard of the Chupacabra. This is a strange creature to me because it's got several descriptions. There are several things that are defined as Chupacabra. Oh, happy Saturday. Paranormal Portal and my fellow paranormal peeps from Kirsten. Thank you so much, Kirsten. You guys are great. I just group hug. Come on, bring it in. Everybody just sit there and hug yourself. That's it. It's beautiful in here. You guys know how to make me feel better. Thank you. But the Chupacabra is something that is described many different ways. Comes out of Central America or South America and is described there as this small, feral-looking creature, kind of hunched over, spikes on its back like thorns, almost like a porcupine's quills, and with a protruding muzzle of some kind that has two pronounced fangs, which I assume are canine fangs or whatever, but they're pronounced fangs. And these creatures, the name Chupacabra, as everybody knows, means goat sucker because the phenomena kind of seemed to hit the press because people were finding their goats in what the hell country was it? Peru? One of those countries down there. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound like an insensitive dick, but I really don't remember now. My mind's just doing many things. But people are finding their goats dead, drained of body fluid or at least blood, absolutely dry. And they would find these two puncture marks. And these weird little hunched over spiky back creatures were witnessed oftentimes leaving the scene of these killings or whatever. So that's where this all started for us. That's where this became a part of our vocabulary. Now, suddenly, not only were they given a name and a description, but now they're kind of everywhere. Now they're in Mexico. They're in south parts of the United States, possibly more. Like everything else, it seems they start in one area and then become everywhere. And I don't know if that's a situation of what's called confirmation bias, and I hope I'm understanding this correctly or defining it correctly. But it's just the idea that if you become fixated on something being there, whenever you find something that's kind of curious or questionable, you'd have a bias, a personal bias, to attribute it to something that it may not be. And so not only are they supposedly here, but their descriptions have changed, and now they look like this coyote thing in the South United States, southeast, southwest, mostly southwest as far as I understand, but I could be absolutely wrong. But they look like these kind of mangy coyotes that have these weird protrusions on the backs of their thighs near the anus and underneath the tail. And they look like really enlarged or inflamed huge scent glands that are on these back of these legs. People attribute them to also draining chickens, draining livestock of blood. And this is a whole new description. And then there's another description out there, which seems like it's a cross between a kangaroo and a coyote. It seems to look like it's more hunched over and maybe bipedally hopping like a kangaroo, but also with the protruding fangs, and also allegedly guilty of draining animals of their blood. So suddenly there's this influx of these creatures that are draining animals of blood, and they are all given this one name, Chupacabra. So I guess that's what Chupacabra is. We're not really sure which one it is, or maybe it's all of them. And I don't have the answer for why that is, but that's the descriptions we have. But the story I wanted to go over with you tonight was from animalien.com. It's on the Pakistani market. The guards saw a chupacabra. Two watchmen from the large flea market, Sher Shak in Karachi, Pakistan, told reporters about seeing a very strange and frightening black creature with glowing eyes. The first meeting took place on July 11th when a 25-year-old man named Gulzar worked. He was guarding a small closed warehouse when he heard a loud barking of stray dogs nearby. We decided to go and see what was there. When I began to approach the other side, I had a strange feeling. And then I saw this terrible creature. It was completely black, and his eyes were burning like torches. I've never seen anything like it, said Gulzar. The next morning, the man shared what he saw with other people, including other watchmen, but no one believed him. However, the next day, another guard met the same creature. The watchman Abdul Qayyum, Qayyum, committed bypass between the market rows when he saw something large and black that flashed aside. A day later, two men said that someone had climbed into the warehouse and killed 11 goats in there. Later, other witnesses appeared. One of them in particular said that this black creature is 1.5 meters tall, and he can jump to a height of several meters. So there again is this leaping characteristic. And I think that's more of the traditional with the spiky back one as well. But soon merchants began to panic, especially among those who traded in the market chickens, ducks, and goats. They began to close their doors or their stores earlier and to strengthen the warehouse with heavy locks. Local people believe that this creature is like a chupacabra since it kills goats. You know, I don't know that the chupacabra chooses to prey only on goats, but it's just that those were an accessible prey, But there again, now it's in Pakistan. Now, has it always been there? Is it another case where there's an identifiable terminology that can be used to tie all these disparate, what would normally have seemed like regional issues into a more global situation? And I think there's something very strong to that there could be these things, all of these things could be dispersed all over the place. And it's not beyond reason, but every region would have had their own way of defining that. But then when a term comes along, and again, I go back to the Bigfoot. Before there was Bigfoot and Sasquatch, there was all these regional things going on. There was grassmen, there were skunk apes, there were wild men, there were hairy men, there were wood boogers, there were Yeren and Yowies and so many other descriptors that were used in these regional situations of running upon these bipedal hairy hominids. And once there was a name that everybody could use and understand, then it became a phenomena. And once people started hearing the way that these Bigfoot were described, it's like, well, we got them here too, except we call them this. And then all of a sudden, everybody had a common vocabulary, and suddenly it became a wide known phenomena. Well, that's because of the identifier that suddenly took the place of that Sasquatch and Bigfoot, two identifiers that are now absolutely common worldwide. So I think that maybe Chupacabra is the same thing. It's like maybe all these regions had these weird things that would pop up every once in a while. They probably have regional names for them as well. But if you're going to tell the world about it, you use the best known description that everybody will understand. So, very cool. I don't know. It's kind of creepy. But as far as I know, and this is just me talking about what I have been exposed to, but as far as I know, there has never been an attack on a person by a Chupacabra. So that's a good thing. If these things are out there, they obviously don't seem to choose to eat people. And so that's a good thing, but it is, it's not good that it's eating other stuff, I guess. But, I guess you got to take your victories where they come. At least I do. I take them all I can. Yo, 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 hidden existence. Good to see you in the house. Hey, Daniela, great to see you, my lady. Awesome. It's been a long time. Good to see you in the portal. But that's just my 2 cents on Chupacabras. I don't hear many stories about them anymore. It was like we were hearing about them all the time for quite a while. They were everywhere. Everybody was seeing them, experiencing them, and now it's kind of gone quiet again. But there's every once in a while these stories like this one pop up. I didn't look at the date on it, though. When was the date on this story? Because it was actually July 31st of 2019, so it is a year old. I don't know where they've all went. Yeah, that's weird. But I do find it interesting that there's such a broad array of physical descriptors that are used as Chupacabra. And I don't know that they can all be the same thing. I guess maybe they could be, but it's an odd one. I got about 3 minutes before the break, so I guess I'm going to hold off going into the very next story because this one has to do with the Loch Ness monster, and I want to give old Nessie her space. I want to give her time. Nessie, of course, is everybody knows Nessie, and we got one of our own in the chat room. Nessie is our wonderful friend and longtime YouTube chatter and listener from New Zealand. Sorry, I just saw something in the chat I had to focus on a second, but I got better. So we'll get into a story about Nessie next. Again, this one's not brand new either. It's from last year, but it's one that I didn't know about. I guess maybe it's familiar to me, but we'll go over it anyway because I'm excited by anytime somebody finds proof of Nessie, I get excited, or potential proof of Nessie, because I was really disappointed with the whole eel idea that kind of came out of that genetic study. It's like, that's what an underwhelming finish to such an incredible legend. At least after all this time and all these people that had witnessed it, a few photographs that may or may not depict an actual creature, but it's nice to see that maybe there is something down there that isn't necessarily an eel, but it is big. We'll get to that on the other side after we come back from the break. Quick mention, please check out the podcast if you haven't already. And if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please get subscribed. To those of you not watching on YouTube right now, we are simulcasting live on YouTube, and that is at youtube.com/paranormal portal. And get subscribed. And I just want you to know, a big milestone for the portal. We just hit 800 episodes as of last night. 800 episodes on our YouTube archive. So there are 800 videos, most of them 2 hours long, of myself and oftentimes Don doing the portals. So if you're into checking out a lot of a lot of other paranormal shows that we've done. There are 800 of them on our archives on YouTube. Now, I'm kind of proud of that. That's a pretty big one. And, it's no small feat. And I'm not patting myself on the back because honestly, if you would have asked me prior to hearing how many were on there, if I'd never known collectively how many were on there, I would have probably said 250 because it doesn't feel like it's been that long. It doesn't feel like it's been that many because this is so comfortable to me when things work well. It's comfortable to me. However, tonight started out with a bang. I'll have you know, though, I did keep it together. I did not cuss like a sailor or a trucker or anything like that. I kept my composure. It was like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I'll just have to hurry and get connected as soon as we can. But, yep, 800 episodes. Yeah, thank you, Kirsten. That's a lot. Taco, there ain't that many zeros in 800, brother. So there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of topics we've covered and many more coming. Apparently we're on break on TFR. I don't have any bumper music, so I'm going to go to the break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with more of the Paranormal Portal. Oh, I don't have any music. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Half hour number 2. So far I got no bumpers and stuff, but it looks like everybody's hearing music where they should. I hope those of you on TFR are hearing the bumpers and the commercials that you're supposed to be hearing. I'm not sure. I'm just there's so much I don't know tonight. But I know I love you guys, and I know I'm thrilled to be here, and I know I'm thrilled you're here with me. So great to see everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Tonight is a bunch of cool paranormal stuff on the hopper for us. We just covered a story about the Pakistani market that believes they're attacked by a Chupacabra or had a Chupacabra encounter, which is pretty intense. I don't know. I guess they could be over there too. Why not? They don't seem to respect borders too much, so I guess they can go everywhere they can get to, or maybe they've always been there again. But now we're going to jump into a story about Nessie, which came out last year. Some pretty, I don't know, pretty cool possible imaging of what may be one of the first underwater pictures of Nessie, but we'll get to that in just a second. But before we go any further, I do know the phones lines work. We did test those. And if you want to call in and be a part of tonight's show, you can do so by calling 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. And that'll get you into the phone line if you got something of your own that you want to share that's paranormal or paranormally related. So we got that going for us. Again, I do apologize for any weirdness on tonight's show. If you're just coming in or not really sure what the hell's going on, I was just about to launch a show, and I was literally connecting Skype, and all of a sudden, boom, blue screen of death. And I was like, no. So I unfortunately, I've got this computer absolutely loaded to the gills with pretty much everything to do with my show. And so the idea of something going sideways is, first of all, very scary. And it's got me thinking I got to get a hell of a lot of things backed up just in case something goes south. But second of all, it takes forever to boot up because of all that. Now it's a fast computer. It's got good hardware and stuff, but it's just, I'm asking a lot of it all the time, and I don't know what's going on for sure, but you can bet tomorrow's going to be diagnostic day here on the portal. So we're going to get into the story of the Loch Ness Monster, and this comes from animalien.com. It's a great website. They got a whole bunch of fascinating articles posted that have to do with the paranormal and UFOs and cryptids and you name it. There's a lot out there. And the articles are really, really very quick. It doesn't take long to get through them. They're not exhaustive and over the top, but they are interesting. This one's rather short, and what I'm going to do is put a link in the TFR chat for those that are on tfrlive.com/chat so you can see. Oh, thank you for posting that farm in the TFR chat as well. You can see the image that we're going to be discussing if you open it up in another browser window, but for those of you that are on YouTube, you're going to get to see it with me because I'll put it up on the screen. Oh, Jesus. What did that happen for? Oh, just disgusting. Disgusting. Sorry. I click weird stuff sometimes. It just ain't my night, but let's see. Let's make that bigger again. There we go. This is an article from animalien.com. And let me put it up on screen here so you guys can see. It's Loch Ness skipper captures sonar image of huge 25-foot creature deep below. A ship skipper is caught in the depths of the world-famous loch a sonar picture of something giant lurking, reports deadlinenews.co.uk. Deadlinenews.co.uk. Yep. Okay. On June 27th, a 24-year-old Mike Bell took a group of tourists out on the water when he picked up an abnormal object about 115 feet below the surface. The object had completely vanished when he circled around to scan the same place again. I'd like to think this is our creature, Nessie, Mike said. It's my first year being the skipper in the boat, and in 5 months I've never seen it or had something that big on the sonar. An object of that size, I would think, is way too big for the normal species in the loch. It must have been about 5 or 6 minutes we spent trying to pick up this creature again. This is this year's 8th formal Loch Ness Monster sighting reported on the official sighting page of the Loch Ness Monster. My dad is the more experienced skipper who's been doing this for a few years and has said he's never seen it that big before on the sonar, said Bell. This is my first sighting of Nessie, and I think my dad is a wee bit jealous, and he has never seen it. Wow. And there's the image, ladies and gentlemen. And again, those of you on listening on TFR Live, iHeart, tune in to TalkStream Live, go to tfrlive.com/chat, and I posted the link of this article there. But it's on animalien.com/Loch Ness skipper captures sonar image of huge 25-foot creature deep below. There's the image, and that is absolutely impressive. It really does look like a plesiosaur, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if this is indeed 25 feet, it doesn't look like what some may call, it could just be a submerged log. Well, yeah, but look at the way that that's shaped. This some may try to claim this is some kind of root ball, but that'd be a huge root ball for the trunk to be that skinny. Just the proportions don't seem to work out, and this does really look like it could be a head. Now, I don't know. I guess we're all speculating when we're looking at this. All we know for sure is that the sonar on the boat apparently captured I assume is this captured a 25-foot target underwater, and when they circled around to check it again, it was gone. Now, if it is just a submerged log or some other possibly big-sized creature or big-sized object, it probably wouldn't just clear the area. Now, the other possibility is if this isn't actually the image and this is another image, which I don't know. I'm assuming this is the image, but it may very well be just an image put up for the sake of this article. But could it be a large school of fish that returned one sonar return? Maybe. Maybe that's it, and maybe this isn't the actual image. Again, since they're together, I'm just assuming this is the image that was captured by their sonar camera, but I may be wrong. In any case, it's exciting. I didn't like the description of Nessie possibly just being some big eel or eels in the loch. That was really disappointing. And of course, I love the paranormal, and I want the paranormal to be as real as it can be. But I'm also objective. I wouldn't let that romanticized vision override logic. It's gotta be substantiatable. Substantiatable, is that a word? It is now. It's got to be substantiatable, and so, I don't know. But if that is the image, that is really exciting, because that really is a spectacular potential image of what may be Nessie. And it really does seem to have the dimensions of what we understand to be a plesiosaur, which were the underwater ocean or water dwelling dinosaurs. So that is a pretty spectacular image regardless, but I don't know the background. And again, I can't be sure this is the actual image captured by the boat. I just assume it is. So there you have it. Nessie might really be out there. She might not just be a collection of eels or just a really big eel. I really, I rather prefer the idea that she's out there. She's under the loch there somewhere. But who knows? I guess maybe someday we'll find out. Maybe we never will. But let's move on to the next one. I'm saying but a whole bunch. What does that say? Somebody said, Brent, low volume. I don't know. I don't know why it's low volume. Can you guys hear me okay? Are you hearing me? Can you hear me? Let me know. No static. Can't hear though. What the hell's going on now? Well, this is a new one, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's going on now. I'll look at the settings here. I don't know. I'm all flummoxed. Let's see what's going on in Skype settings. Let's go on to the OBS settings. All kinds of settings to check into, but the microphone is showing good signal there. Let's see. I can crank up the mic more over here. Hopefully. Does that help, guys? Those of you on YouTube, is that better? Let me know if you would. I hear you fine. Thank you, Aussie. It's It's troubleshooting night here on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. Not only we're going to discuss cryptids and paranormals, but we're going to troubleshoot my connection live in real time. So you got that going for you. Better. Okay, good. All right. Well, I hope that did it. Don's fault. Oh, poor Don. He's not, it couldn't be his fault. He's not even here. All right. Anyway, let's continue on, ladies and gentlemen. More paranormal weirdness to cover tonight. We got about halfway through to the next break. Let's see what's going on next. I had a couple more things pulled up here, so I want to get to the next one. Oh, yeah, this one. This one is more of the Bigfoot. Again, from animalien.com. I had several of them pulled up here to go over tonight because I love me some Bigfoot. I'm always happy to talk about the Bigfoot stuff because I think it's fascinating. Let me close this, minimize it. There we go. This one is coming out of Moscow area. It says Bigfoot chased a tourist in one of the abandoned parks near Moscow. Let that sink in. Bigfoot. I don't think they call it Bigfoot over there, but let's see what it says. A terrifying incident occurred in an abandoned park in one of the towns of the Moscow region. The legendary snowman, I guess abominable snowman, okay, was not only discovered, but perhaps was the cause of casualties among the people, reports vladtime.ru. That's VLADTIME.ru. It says a tourist who explored the park heard screams and immediately went in search of the source, but already on the way, he saw a strange figure, which he managed to photograph on the phone's camera. Okay, I better get this over on the big screen because there's going to be an image, and I'll put a link again in TFR for you guys to check it out. It's a very ambiguous image, but just because they mention it, I'll bring it to you. Copy, and I'll paste this over in the TFR chat for your viewing pleasure. It says, tourists who explored the park heard screams and immediately went in search of the source, but already on the way saw a strange figure, which he managed to photograph on the phone's camera. And here's what the eyewitness says. I thought the dogs attacked someone. The voice was feminine. I immediately grabbed a stick and rushed towards the screams, but soon they calmed down. Approaching the place from which they came about, I saw a terrible, hairy figure like a gorilla, however, fully upright and higher. I froze, but the figure paid attention to me. I managed to quickly get the phone, take one picture, and then run away, and the figure was chasing me another 200 or 300 meters, but retreated at the border of the park, and what happened to the girl, I don't know. The famous Russian zoologist Ivan Kolpakov suggested that this is probably Bigfoot's sighting. Judging by the description, it is undoubtedly Bigfoot. The photo is extremely blurry. Let me get that photo on screen for those of you on YouTube. The photo is extremely blurry, but still has the characteristic features are easily distinguishable. Of course, the location of the discovery is a bit of surprising. The Russian climate quite corresponds to the alleged needs of this creature. If this is true, tourists should choose parks for walks more carefully, especially bypassing abandoned or unpopular places. Here is I'm in the red circle. Thank God for the red circle because I might have never seen it. It's all you can tell from this image. I don't know. And I'm not casting any aspersions on Ivan. He may very well be the authority he says he is, but this is just a dark blur in a whole mess of sticks and debris. I certainly wouldn't call this conclusive by any means. This is incredibly ambiguous. This could be a man or woman in dark clothing. It certainly doesn't have characteristics other than it looks like somebody standing up behind a bunch of branches in the other tree scrub. But anyway, it says, probably the girl shouting in the park survived because recently there were no disappearances or disappearances in the area of the incident. It is impossible, of course, to exclude the option that the girl was also a tourist from another city, but such a probability due to the abandonment of the park is very small. I don't know. The one guy was a tourist and he saw it. I think that sometimes the abandoned places are the place that draw the tourists to see, to see those places that aren't flooded with people and just kind of get an idea of what happened. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything on this image is at all determinable. It's just some kind of shadowy figure behind all the scrub. So take it or leave it, but that's the report. That is a Bigfoot report from out of Russia. And this is from July 12th of last year. So it's well over a year old, but nonetheless, it is a recent sighting and a recent Chris Neo. An anonymous source told me Chris Neo. Who's Chris Neo? All right, that's from the TFR chat. Sorry. They crack me up. But it's always good. I love covering Bigfoot stories, no matter how well or how well they're written or how poorly they're written or how little there is to glean from it. But I think it's just fun to talk about because I love the idea these things are out there. I truly do. Oops, I wanted to close that. I don't want to leave that open. I got enough crap open here. So we're going to continue on our journey here. We're down to 9 minutes. My God. Let's see what's going on. Back here. Okay. Let me go to the next one. Trying to find my next one. I got just a mess of tabs here. This one is very interesting. I don't know if this is really paranormal or not. It is paranormal in that it's incredibly odd and not normal. But I don't have to share this one because it's just information. But this is a strange one. Again, from July 12th, 2019, from animalien.com. It says, born a boy who already knows how to speak. That's the weirdest headline I've ever seen. But a boy was born who already knew how to speak. That is crazy. That is really wild. Is speech genetic? Could it be genetic? Is it proof of this child living before, or is it just an incredibly high IQ that this child somehow in utero was able to learn speech? I don't know. Let's see what it says. In the maternity hospital of Norilsk, Russia, an unusual boy named Stepan Baziev was born. And according to stories of obstetricians, the child said the word father a few minutes after the birth, and after a while, the word mother. It is noted that the process of pregnancy took place at 17-year-old Liza Bajiva without any problems. This is obviously a translated article, so forgive the broken English. The boy was born healthy and strong. Doctors did not even have time to inform the young mother of the sex of the child and his data as he said his first words. And already at home, when mom was playing with the child and told him that the father should arrive home soon, the newborn said, "Who, Dad?" The amazing story interested scientists who had not previously seen anything like it. It is known that in the womb, children already hear the speech of their parents. Newborn parents Liza and Rodion knew this, so they regularly tried to develop the baby. Rodion read fairy tales, sang songs with a guitar, and his mother included classical music. Perhaps the key to this phenomena lies in loving parents. By the way, Rodion is an athlete, a coach, and just a spiritually developed person. Okay, mother also does not lag behind him. This is a strange construction sentences constructed. But on the internet, some people attributed the baby to the Indigo children. Others noted that this is an accident, and over time the speed of development will return to normal. God, I don't know, is that good or not? So, what are your guys' feelings on that? Some people worry about kids being so far ahead that they become, unable to relate to their peers and how that may damage them. And I understand that. I think that is possible as well. But I don't know, isn't it good if children could learn quicker and they could develop faster, and or is that a hindrance? Is it good to let them be children? You have to let me know what you guys think. I don't know what I think. I guess I'm kind of torn both ways, because it's exciting to think if the child could be born out of the at his birth being able to speak and understand language. What could that child learn throughout his lifetime, and could he continue to learn at that pace if that was continued to be nurtured? I don't know. You guys will have to tell me what you guys think. I don't know. I'm a little bit torn on it because, of course, it is important for kids to be kids and to have a childhood, because that really sets a strong foundation for the rest of their lives, that they know how to play, how to have fun, their imagination, and, they experience things in a certain rate. But I don't know. I really am. Let kids be kids, Aussie Tiger says. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Nothing wrong with quick learning, but still need a childhood. I agree, the unknown. Excellent points. Kind of creepy, Brent, Ethan says. Well, it is a little. I got to say that if any of my infant children started speaking, I think I would have blown me away. I might have been reaching for some holy water. I'm just saying, it's just not what you expect. Agree with unknown. Let a kid be a kid, and when they are young, absolutely farm. Good point. Look at me. I chose to never grow up. Me too, brother or sister. I don't know what unknown is, a boy or girl. Sorry. But yeah, I agree. I'm going to, I don't think that's having to do with this conversation. So, but yeah, I think it's very powerful. I think that there is a lot of truth that maybe we do have the ability to learn faster than we do, and we end up pushing more on social development than academic or those kind of milestones. I mean, I used to teach, and I went through some teacher training, and it was an interesting course that talked about how to find students at the level they were at, because a lot of traditional schooling is geared at you're a kid, you're in this grade, so this is the requirements, so catch up. But in this training, they were talking about the importance of not expecting every child to come in and catch up to you, but it's important to find them where they are and bring them to the level that you're hoping they will get to, and then everybody can learn together. And I think that there's a strength to that. I think that there is a strength. But in this training, they talked about a study that was done, and I think this is interesting, but I think it's also kind of screwed up. You may understand more by the time I get done telling you this anecdote. But so they talked about a study that was done where they took a group of 10 children after they were tested, and they took the 10 kids that tested as genius, and then they took just 10 of the normal kids. But what they did was they told the genius group that they tested normal, and they told the normal kids that they tested genius. And interestingly enough, what happened was the normal kids started performing at a genius level, and the genius kids devolved and turned into just normal. And it was absolutely, I found that absolutely fascinating. And it gets back to what we talk about. And what a lot of people are talking about now is that you become what you're told that you are, or what you accept that you are. So if you accept that you're normal, you're going to perform normal. You're going to be normal. If you accept that you are extraordinary, you will be extraordinary. And so I found that very interesting. Now, the part that I have a problem with is, yeah, you can be a genius. Absolutely. Julia. Yeah, exactly. Wonder Woman says, I think, therefore I am. Exactly. And we are what we believe we are. And if you're a Christian, even Jesus said it's done unto you as you believe. So, I mean, this is not a new concept, but the problem I have with this study is that they took these kids that were performing excellently and really doing amazingly, and they probably wrecked them because they told them, no, you guys did not perform at genius level. You're actually really pretty ordinary. Your tests are right down the middle. And so after that, those kids ended up performing right in the middle, and that was the best they could do. So That's the problem. Is that I find that very interesting and very cool. Why didn't they just tell the normal kids, yeah, you guys tested as genius, and this gone with that? Why did they why did they have to screw with the kids that really were? But I think it's interesting. Yeah. Oh, Jarvis, you did not do that. All right. So that's from a movie. Wrecked him. Damn near killed him. Sorry. I just had to comment on that because I found that interesting, though, and I hope you guys thought that was interesting as well. So this is a case of an infant born speaking. I think that's pretty cool, but again, I'm not the parents of that kid. I don't know how I would feel if it was my child, and would I want him to slow down and just be a kid? I got to say the minion is pretty quick. All my children have been very intelligent, and but I've always encouraged them to be kids. I think that is important. I think that they need to have that carefree years, those carefree years without, expectations shoved down their throats and made to perform. Like let them be kids. They can pick it up later if you give them the good habits. I don't know if I always gave them the best habits, but I gave them all the love I could. But very cool stuff. Let's see what we got next. I got to check the clock because I've been gum running for a while. Oh, we're already on break. All right. Welcome to the hour break. We'll be right back.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed. I'm not wrong, you get. I'm not wrong.
Just got to wait for the network, folks. Welcome back from the break. Hope you had a nice break. Just waiting for the network to go online again. Then I'll start talking to you. Because we got a phone call. And I think you'll know once you hear him who it is. Just waiting. Oh, it sucks when things aren't working right. It's just hard to find the rhythm, ladies and gentlemen. So how you guys doing? All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are back here. Hour number 2 is now underway here on the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, who is absolutely trying to hold it together in light of all of the challenges tonight. But I think it's going okay, all things considered. But I think I've talked into two breaks now without realizing when the break started because there's no bumpers. I can't hear the bumper music. But anyway, enough of me whining. You didn't tune in to hear me whining. We got a phone call, and I'm going to get to this phone call right now. But just let me say before we go to the phone call, if you are listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, stick around because Paisley Wild is going to be coming up next, and she brings the love. She brings her show is The Spaces Between, and it covers her incredible pagan journey and things that she's working on learning, and she's absolutely excited to share with all of you. It's just a great show. She's just a great person. So tune in and give her some love. And if you'd rather watch on YouTube, she does stream hers live as well on youtube.com/The Spaces Between. So without further ado, let's find out who is the mystery person on the phone. And mystery person on the phone, you're on the air. And you're on the air. Uh-oh. Why am I not hearing him now? What the happy hell is going on? I'm not hearing you at all. I guess that's par for the course. Are you guys hearing him? I don't know what's going on. Jesus, I don't know. I really can't hear anything. We can try it again. I heard myself. Hello, are you there? Can you hear me? Nothing. Well, I'm all kinds of perplexed here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me look at one more thing. I don't know. This is just a Hail Mary here to try to figure out what the hell is going on with the sound. Yeah, it should be working. That's so weird. I don't know. I don't know why that's not working. Let me test the audio. Yeah, there's no audio here. Hold on. Hang on. Never mind. He hung up. Oh God, I don't know if this is going to be a nightmare or what. I don't know what I can do. Let me just check this. Yeah, that should be right. I don't know why I've got no sound, ladies and gentlemen, but it's just absolutely... I guess we don't got a phone call. I do apologize, caller. That was our good friend Nessie was trying to call in. He is going to be doing an incredible event, and I'm sorry that you couldn't come on and talk about it. But please call me tomorrow night on the show, Nessie. We'll get into it then. I do apologize, but yeah, everything is sideways. So apparently my issues run deeper than even I knew. So I do apologize. Yeah. Oh, you can't do it that way, Nessie. You can't do it that way. Hold on. Let me see if I can do it that way, though. I'm going to try to get him on through Skype because he's got a pretty incredible thing coming up, ladies and gentlemen. And we want to definitely support his effort. So let me try and see if we can do just that. See if he'll answer his Skype. And it's ringing. As far as I know, it's ringing. Are you there? I can't hear anything. What the hell? Are you there? Yeah, that's not going to work either. What the? I've got some kind of sound issue going on since the computer crash, ladies and gentlemen, and it's completely unexpected, but it's not working at all. So at least I can't hear anything. I don't know, but I don't think it's necessarily Skype. I think it's my computer. But unfortunately, they say you can't call me on Skype because, first of all, I have to join you into the call. Otherwise, it'll be two different phone calls. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get back to the show. I tried. That's all I can tell you is we tried. We'll talk to him tomorrow night on the show. He'll call in and we'll get into what's going on and what he's doing and why it's so absolutely incredible. So computer crashes are annoying, Ethan. You're absolutely right. Can you hear me now? You bet, Elaine. I should be the spokesperson for whoever the hell's doing that. Nessie gives Don the evil eye. I don't know. It's just technology, folks. It's just technology. There's not much we can do about it. And they say I'm not going to... you can try to talk one more time, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. Yeah, there's nothing. Nothing there. I can't hear a thing. So we're going to get on with the show. Do call in tomorrow, Nessie. We'll get this sorted between now and then, but I can't do anything about it now because we're live. And as much as I love troubleshooting live on the air, that's not why people are tuning in. So let's get back to it and see what we can dig into here with some more strangeness. I've got an article here that I was really excited to read. I'm still really excited to read, but there's this is kind of cool. It's really hard if you ever research vampires. It's really hard to find anything of any substance or value unless it's stuff that's like 400 or 500 years old, or from the 1800s on back. That's about the only reports of vampires that I can actually find when I've tried. And you'll find tons of things on vampires that represent the counterculture kind of vampires that may actually drink blood as part of their counterculture or part of their exercise, expressing themselves as vampires. But it's just kind of an alternative goth for the most part. They dress in dark colors, and I'm not casting any aspersions at that. But they're not supernatural beings. They're not the living dead. They're not going around and draining people's spirits. Now, a lot of people talk about psychic vampires and energy vampires and things like that, and I think that that's a very real thing. I think that there are many entities that could fit that bill, and I believe that a lot of our current vampire mythology and mythos is built around what I believe is the Black-Eyed Kids. I think that that's where a lot of our ideas about vampires came from. I'm not sure maybe Black-Eyed Kids are the original vampires. I don't know, because whether they're timeless or do they age, or because there are black-eyed adults that are reported too. But for the most part, you don't find the stories of the Nosferatu and things like that. And it's not a lot of people. I talked about Nosferatu before when I was a guest on, I think it was actually, I was a guest on Sasquatch Chronicles, and somebody had commented on that later saying, no, Nosferatu was a movie. Max Planck or Max whatever was the vampire in that movie. But the term Nosferatu is an actual old term, describing these wretched creatures. So, that yes, it was an old movie titled Nosferatu, but there is a mythos that extends back well before that, and that's why they named it Nosferatu. But anyway, but what I did find was, and in my unending quest to try to bring you the best entertainment I can, I found a great article written by our good friend Brent Swanser at mysteriousuniverse.org, and it's some mysterious modern reports of vampires, and I'd like to share that with you guys because it's tough to find this kind of stuff, and I'm just thrilled that he did find some more modern reports of vampires. And there's some history in here as well, but it's just a really cool article. So it says, there's perhaps a weirder or more seemingly absurd type of report than those of vampires, yet these creatures of the night have long history and have been reported for centuries. I've covered old reports, indeed on several occasions, and many more. But while these seem to be just obscure legends lost in the myths of legend and superstition, there have been other reports that continue to come in up into modern times. Here we'll move away from the dark history of vampire accounts and look at some shockingly modern vampire accounts that might be real or not, but which are eerie nonetheless. And I was just like, yes, he found some. So some of these weird modern accounts happened out in the old country of Eastern Europe, and it might not be so surprising for someone who believes these creatures exist to encounter one. From Reddit poster SSZYLY, we have her reports of her family's dealings with what were known as the Strigoi. These are the spirits from Romanian lore, which are said to rise from the grave to stalk the countryside at night in search of blood. The traditions of the Strigoi go deep in rural Romania and far from something confined to the ancient text people have reported centuries with the abominations into more modern time. The poster says, Romanians believe that vampires exist. We call them Strigoi, the ones who scream. That's the translation of the word Strigoi. They are evil spirits that come at night to torment people by calling out their names. Strigoi are thirsty for blood, just as vampires. They can come in human or animal form. Strigoi are completely free of the on St. Andrew's night, the 30th of November to be exact, our type of Halloween. My great-grandmother told my mom that she heard a Strigoi calling out her name. She said that it was very important to remain silent, otherwise bad things could happen. They have the power to cause health issues to the people who respond to their calling. When my mom was a child, the whole community, along with the priest, went to the cemetery to kill a vampire. A man from the village died, and he was a sinner, or so everyone said, and his family started to experience weird stuff. They would hear him calling out their names. Soon all members of the family fell ill, and that's how they decided that their relative was a Strigoi. My mother remembers that they used a wood stake to kill the creature. She remembers some noises coming from the grave. My great-grandmother was there, too. She said that the man looked like he was just sleeping, even though there were 6 months or so since he was deceased. I'm sure they didn't embalm him either. So, also from Eastern Europe is a report from a witness who does not state exactly which country he's from, but he has a very creepy story to tell. The witness says that she had gone to a party with some friends, and that at the end of the night, some people she did not know offered to take her home. Before they left, one of the men was called inside, and after several minutes of waiting, she went in to ask if he was still going to take her home. Things got steadily creepier from there, and she explains. A man from the outside walks in the house with 2 more guys, and it caught my attention. He had a medium brown, darkish hair, slim, with loose clothes, very common looking actually, but what wasn't the thing that caught my attention. When he entered the house, I had a strong feeling coming from him that I cannot describe that well. He looked at me, but he had dark brown, glassy eyes. Didn't say anything, but then he started to move around like nobody was noticing him. Even the 2 guys that went with him, and that's when I realized his movements were so unnatural or backwards. His arms were behind his body as he moved. The feeling I had was not fear, like you would be scared of the unknown, like ghosts or demons, the dark, or a horror movie. This was a feeling I had a few times when somebody died or saw something very graphic and gore-related, kind of the same feeling, and my brain just rewired in a way that like you suffered a real psychological trauma. I swear I could feel it in my brain. It was the same feeling I had when I watched someone years ago falling off the stairs with blood running from his ears. It was not fear, but like the brain rewiring itself somehow. He looked at me intensely, which seemed at the time a very long period, and I could not move. I now remember opening my mouth halfway and just staring back at him, eyes wide open and fixating my vision at him, but didn't want to make contact with his eyes. Subconsciously, I think I told myself not to look for some reason. He never spoke a word or someone else engaging him. He went straight for the door after making these rounds inside the house, and for a second, he stood under the door entrance and turned his head again to look at me. He was pale white and in a way evoked the same feeling in me as before. He left, and I tried to gather and tell myself that there was nothing wrong at all in all this, and left my friend's house for home. I forgot about the whole thing while outside was freezing and me walking in the snow feeling sleepy and tired until I saw him again near a closed travel agency building. He was ahead of me, leaning against the glass walls. He didn't seem to notice me, but I knew then that it was him. I switched sides on the sidewalk to get some distance, and with one eye looking over in his direction, he noticed me halfway and smiled shortly. Couldn't see his face better because of the snow in the distance, but I noticed his mouth was deep red, almost bloody. I picked up the pace, worrying that he might follow, but he stood his ground, and shortly after we were out of range. And on my way home, I am sure, now more than ever, that this was not a human. I sensed he was not human from the first moment. What was going on here? Very odd indeed. Other reports come from other disparate places, such as one from a poster who calls himself Go TFF Nerd, and supposedly happened in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States. Never mind, I'm not going to talk about Utah. The witness immediately acknowledged how crazy the idea of real vampires must sound and insists that he was always very skeptical of this sort of thing, but something changed his mind. At the time, he was staying at a Salt Lake City resort, a place where he assures us was the type of place where you might encounter and or party with a rock star or an actor. He said that as he was hanging out with a friend, a woman walked into the bar and they were at and immediately felt off to him. Despite this, they would form a rather strange relationship, which seems to have convinced the witness that the supernatural exists. He explains it in great detail. This girl who just walked into the resort wasn't what you'd call pretty or classically beautiful, but she was very sexy, tempting somehow. She was short, pale, very curvy, and alluring. Her style or fashion was akin to Avril Lavigne. It was very punk rock with a small touch of goth. Even back then, I definitely perceived a darkness and uniqueness about her, but that may have been induced from her fashion. Anyway, Avril, that's not her real name, but that's what I'll call her for this retelling. And the guy strolled up to the front desk, talked to the employee. I assume he was checking her into the room or something of that nature, and immediately afterwards he leaves the resort for good. I'm assuming he left because she wasn't with him again that I saw over the next 10 days. Well, a day or two passed, and eventually Avril and I became familiar with each other and began hanging out. After about 20 minutes, it became very clear she was interested in me. Oddly, the very first thing she said to me was, "Did you know that you have a golden aura? When I first saw you, it was amazing. They are very rare." Well, I didn't believe a word of this aura stuff, but she was so sexy, and I played along. I've had plenty of shallow moments in my life. "Oh, really? Wow. No, I didn't know that," I said, but I just eliminated it from my mind. I was there to party, ski, and just have fun. I wasn't going to express my doubts about her ability, or anyone's ability for that matter, to see auras. Another time when Avril and I were hanging out, we sat next to each other on a couch, but I noticed she was getting as close to me as possible without actually touching me. She's making sure I smell her hair, look into her eyes, notice her low-cut shirt, etc., etc. Even now, there's a certain power to her, and she is nothing but a memory, so I decided, well, screw it. And I lightly rest my arm on top of hers and lightly press my leg up against hers. After all, she's clearly wanting me to, and I can't accurately explain what came next. It was both completely ineffable and illogical, but after we touched, some of its skin-on-skin contact, some of it on clothes contact, my arms and legs immediately and intensely began to heat up. It was as if someone pressed a chunk of dry ice against my body. It wasn't intense enough to yelp or scream. The actual physical pain was only slightly uncomfortable. I should be clear about something. I'm 100% positive this wasn't dopamine or endorphins or any of the other chemicals being released into my bloodstream via some catalyst in my brain. This was unnatural. And right before this happened, Avril and I were laughing, flirting, practically about to start making out, but during the dry ice session and immediately afterwards, her silence was deafening. I've ran through the most reasonable explanations, and two remain, which are possible. I had some sort of allergic reaction, which I'd never had before or since. Or it was all in my mind, and something like that has never happened before or since. I can't with 100% certainty discount these more plausible explanations, but certain things keep coming back into my mind. In closing, I've never seen a ghost, UFO, Bigfoot, or anything considered paranormal. I'm a very grounded person. I'm the type of person who mentally adjusts anything and everything possible into numbers, statistics, probabilities. For this typically allows me to possess a deeper understanding of certain things. For most of my life, I considered vampires to be sheer nonsense, a silly myth or superstition which originated from an overactive imagination somewhere along the line, along the way of humanity's history. As a matter of fact, it was my opinion that the existence of vampires was about as plausible as Santa Claus sliding down my chimney on Christmas. If someone had expressed to me that they believed in vampires, I'd have sincerely have doubts pertaining to their mental capacity and stability. You see, my mind is a slave to logic, mathematics, and reason, which is most likely why I'd have scoffed at the notion of vampires. Yet, I now believe it's possible there is a very small percent of the world's population who have found a way to feed on people in a paranormal sense. I'm not referring to typical cannibals. Well, reality is really a quite bonkers account. Is there anything to this? Next, we have a report from a poster merely known as Loose, L-U-S, who says this happened in 2011. Let me check the time before we get into this. Yeah, we're down to 2 minutes, so we can only touch on... We'll get to the rest of this one when we come back, because there's still quite a bit to go. So the night is just flying by. There's one break left, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. It's crazy how quickly this goes. Even on nights when things are going sideways, it still goes quickly. Usually when things go sideways, it's like painfully slow and you feel every second drag by. But I don't know. Anytime I do the portal, it's just a breeze. Other than technical difficulties, it's always a breeze to do the show. So, we're going to be going to our last break in about a minute here. So, what else was I going to talk about here that I can cover quickly? We'll have another podcast will be coming out tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. So this last week we did 2 of them because I did an interview with a gentleman from New Zealand, and it was a great interview. We had a great discussion, but it was extraordinarily long. So we broke it into 2 podcasts. So last week there was a regular Sunday podcast and then a bonus podcast, which is the culmination. Both of those podcasts are the culmination of the discussion I had with this gentleman, but it was absolutely fantastic. Very nice guy and really fun to dig into his stories and his experiences. If you haven't heard it, please check it out. You're going to like it. it's really some fascinating stuff. And he's had a whole array of things happening. At a young age, he believes he saw aliens or some other extra dimensional type of beings. He's had he's had plenty of ghost experiences, definitely some really incredible ones, and even had a bout with a haunted tree. And that story will, I mean, it'll make you think twice. I mean, it's just a really wild story, and it also confirmed to him that he has a guardian angel, which I think is awesome. So that'll be coming up. That is out there now. Last break is right now, so I'm gonna go to the break. I see there's a phone call, but unfortunately we can't get to the calls. The phones are not working tonight. So last break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. More coming up in just a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Last half hour is upon us here. I see there's a phone call, area code 917. I am sorry. The phones are not working tonight. I'm unable to hear anything, so I do apologize. I'd love to talk to you. I hope to have this rectified probably right after the show is over, but unfortunately I won't be able to fix it before the end of tonight's show. Stick around, keep showing up. I'd love to hear from you eventually. Again, there's a portal tomorrow night. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time as well, right here on YouTube. Not on TFR Live, though. So if you want to wait till then to call in, I'd love to hear from you. But unfortunately, I cannot answer the phones tonight, it pains me deeply because I love the interaction with you guys. But before the break, ladies and gentlemen, we're covering this amazing article by Brent Swancer from mysteriousuniverse.org. Brent Swancer is an amazing guy. He's long time been my favorite journalist in the paranormal world. He does such an incredible job, as I hope you can tell. I might not be reading it to the quality and caliber it deserves, but he just does a fascinating job and an incredible, comprehensive job every time he writes. And his articles are featured on mysteriousuniverse.org, which is an amazing site in and of itself and an amazing podcast in and of itself. So definitely check out both of those. But I've gotten to know Brent a little bit through social media on Facebook. He reached out and we've been in contact. I was like, "Are you the Brent Swancer?" He's like, "Yeah, that's me." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I've been a fan of you for a long time." So I said, "Do you mind if I use some of your articles?" He's like, "Yeah, go ahead. Just, let them know where you found them." So that's my way of letting you guys know. Definitely check out his work. He also has a Facebook group. And it is, I'm going to try to look quick to give that a plug, but it's Dark League Paranormal on Facebook. Look for Dark League Paranormal. That's his group on Facebook. He features all of his articles there as well. But just a fascinating guy, fascinating author, and just a hell of a nice guy. So we're covering an article of his that deals with modern day accounts of what could be potentially vampires. And we're getting towards the tail end of this article, but this one is from a poster merely known as Loose, L-U-S, who says this happened in 2011 at a time he claims he was a political activist active in demonstrations. And on this evening, he was camped out in the downtown square of an unnamed city in the U.S. And it was here at this camp, which they occupied for a full 4 months, where a mysterious stranger would make his presence known, the witness says. And here's the report from the witness. "We camped in a downtown square for about 4 months. Throughout this period, a lot of people came in and out. By the second month, I had to travel to another city where my parents were living for a week. And when I came back to the occupation, there was a guy living there that arrived exactly when I left. He somehow already had some respect from the other people in a very short period of time. He was tall, blonde, long hair, a bit of a hippie, had a profound voice that implied self-confidence, and he had some means a strange aura. He had by some means a strange aura. But okay, no big deal. Seemed like a cool guy after a while, but with time he became my friend, and we ended up having a long conversation about pretty much everything that interested in me and vice versa, like occultism, magic, UFOs, etc., until he brought up the vampirism subject, which I was not familiar with at the time. He explained to me that some stuff like that the vampires were actually normal people that could manage their own life force, and apparently they have been misinterpreted since always. And he told me that there are some secret vampire groups, small ones, that preserved the rituals, and there was no blood-sucking, anything going on. And as he said, that the blood wasn't an analogy to the life force. They were not actually sucking it from people. But they could indeed suck someone's life force. But more important, he said, was to know how to use your own. The conversation finished there. The whole thing seemed interesting to me. And after a while, we went to sleep. Some days later, here's what happened. My house was quite close to the occupation, and once in a while, some of my friends would often ask to use my bathroom or to have a shower, and then this guy asked me to do the same, and I said, yeah, no problem. Well, everything went fine. The guy had a shower, and when we were walking back to the occupation, he brought up the subject about vampirism again. This time he was wearing an anonymous plastic mask, which completely covered his face, and he starts to explain to me that one can control his own life force inside the dreams, and how would that affect the actual material body. Meanwhile, he's explaining to me that I saw his jaw making a strange movement as if there was something stuck between his teeth, and he was trying to clean it. When he finishes the explanation, he calls me by my name and raises the mask slightly so I can take a look at his mouth. And then I saw this huge canine tooth, and he pulls down the mask. I didn't know how to react, so I just remained calm and asked him what was that for, and if they didn't actually suck blood from other people, and he told me it worked out as sort of an antenna to capture different vibrations, and he managed to construct it by molding his own life force into that shape inside of his dreams. And he asked me if I would be interested to do the same. Well, I told him that it sounded interesting, but he just let me think about it, and we arrived at the occupation as if nothing had happened. I didn't see any strange movements by his hands trying to insert a fake tooth into his mouth or trying to remove it either. But the sensation I got was that he pulled the tooth out by a jaw movement. And the whole thing was just very strange to digest. I didn't know what to do, so I called my friend, and he just said that the whole story just sounded too crazy to be believable. We still live, it says we still lived together. We still lived together in the occupation for quite a while, but I never brought up the subject again, and the guy totally noticed my attempt to avoid it, so he didn't push me either. There was another strange fact after a while. Once he was shirtless and crouched organizing some stuff inside his tent, and the muscles on his back formed the shape of a winged dragon. It was incredibly similar, and another girl that was at the occasion witnessed it and freaked out a bit. Vampire or just an eccentric individual? Finally, we have the account of Hoodie Guy 11, somewhere in the United States. At the time of the report, he said he was 15 years old and living with a single mom, and that she had just met a guy online who she was very interested in. Well, things apparently went well because before long she had moved her family to go live with the man, Mike, out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by the woods. Well, as he got to know the area and his mom's new fling, things would apparently take a sharp turn into the strange, he says. On the very end of town, just before miles of woods, there was an abandoned church that was really pretty creepy. I met a guy at school who was one grade below me, but still in the same school. And we became friends, and he was the one who showed me where the abandoned church is. And this is when things got weird. He told me that he was a vampire and that there were other vampires in our school, and he wanted me to be a part of their clan. Though it was more like a gang because I honestly didn't believe them, but I went along with it for fun and some adventure. And at first we didn't do much besides meet at this house and ride bikes around or play video games. And things got serious when he wanted me to do something bad in order to join his vampire group, and he told me I had to smash the windows of the abandoned church, so I drove up on my bike and threw some rocks in the windows. We both drove away on our bikes to his house, and we ran inside, and about a week later, the most horrifying experience of my life yet happened when he wanted me to go into the woods with him, and he told me we were going to the clan meeting house. Well, I followed him into the woods, and he started running, and I ran after him, and I figured it was because people always say that vampires run fast. We came to the barbed wire fence that had a sign not to enter because it was private property, and without even stopping, he jumped right over it, and I did the same. The next barbed wire fence we had to crawl under, and at this point, we were very deep into the woods until we came to an open field, and there was a small pond and an old barn house. Well, I started to see some other people there, and then it was kind of crazy to think these people just hung out here on someone's land. And he took me to the barn and opened the door, and that's where I saw it. A woman with no clothes on chained up to the support beam, and she was obviously not alive, and her head had been removed. And when I saw the woman, I was extremely frightened and started shaking, but I had to act normal because I didn't want to give them a reason to think that I was going to give them up to the cops. Not to mention, we did illegal things together, and if I called the cops, I would have to tell them the other things that I did with them. The worst part was when they were all around me and watching me, and my friend told me to touch the woman, and then he handed me a knife. He started telling me the best places to stab someone to kill them in one stab, and he wanted me to practice on the body. I had no other choice than to do what they told me. But here's where the twist of the story. Most people would have been scared because of seeing the body or knowing that they were right beside the killers. The scary part is, oh, that's twisted, is that I enjoyed this all and have thoughts of hurting people on my own. I've never been the same person since that day. That's disgusting. I don't know. I don't know that, the energy ones, that makes sense to me. This last one I think is a bit of a fabrication probably, but still, fascinating all the same. I don't know. Well, it's vampires. And again, it's a tough subject to find anything of any value. I think the only other recent story that I heard that may actually, I don't know, it was on Monsters and Mysteries in America, I think, years ago, and there was a story of a woman in New Orleans who was down there, I think, on a spring break kind of thing, and she went to a club down in the French Quarter and was greeted by this guy who seems surreal, and she, I can't even paraphrase the whole story anymore, but essentially he would appear and disappear really dramatically, and she was pretty convinced that he was a vampire, and she did see him levitate as well. And there are other reports of other people seeing individuals do extraordinary things like that. Sometimes having black eyes, much like you see in, like, I don't know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when the demons are around, they have all the black eyes. There's no white sclera in the eyes at all. It's all black. Maybe there are people that are afflicted or somehow different than us. I gotta say that if there was a being that preyed solely on humans, I keep going back to that movie Mimic, where those insects look just like, look like people because their exoskeleton was shaped like a person in a trench coat or something like that. And what a horrible, horrible movie. That really shook me. I was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And that's scary. Because when you think about your life, you think about how many crowds of people have you walked through. And you never really noticed any of them. They were just incidental. They were just kind of there. But what if standing amongst them was these other types of beings that weren't really human, but they looked human? Maybe they're out there. I guess with everything that's out there, this kind of stuff wouldn't surprise me a whole lot. I mean, God knows there's plenty of monsters that are human. So it wouldn't surprise me that there are some that aren't. I'm just saying. Sorry. I'm going to get a new beverage because I got get a whole plastic thing full of water down here. That's how much water I go through, ladies and gentlemen. I got to stay hydrated. All this talking gets me dry. But I don't know what you guys think of vampires or not. I just think the subject is absolutely fascinating because it's persisted. It's another story that has persisted through all these times and all these years, all these generations, and I think that that's pretty incredible. Believe it or not, but it's in your court. Now most people do acknowledge there's energy vampires, and there are people that will draw on your energy, and I think that we have the ability to draw other people's energy. I think that's, it's not necessarily a good thing, but I do think we have the ability to give each other energy as well. I think that we can send energy to people that are just going through a tough time, give them a little more to work with, a little more to push with against the weight of their life. So if you can give people energy, I suppose it's very possible you can take it away. I think there are ways to shield yourself from that as well, but I just think that, we are a part of the circuit of the world of this reality. And so if you learned how to control the energy, I guess amazing things are possible, but also some frightening things are possible. Now, this last story is one that I was really wanting to get into, and I'm hoping we can cover it with the time that's left, because this is a different kind of story. But this has to do with feral humans, and this was also written by our friend Brent Swanser. This is also on mysteriousuniverse.org, and it's The Mystery of the Wolf Girl of Devil's River. Stories of feral children have been have a certain allure to them? What if we were taken and raised not by other human beings, but by animals? Would we retain our humanity, or would we become not much more than a snarling beast? Tales of feral children make us question what exactly it is to be human, raise speculation on the roles of nature and nurture, and such stories have been popular around the world. One odd and mysterious such story of a feral child comes to us from the southwestern United States and Mexico, where a baby was supposedly raised by wolves to go on into legend. The origins of the strange tale go back to the 1830s, and it all starts in the rugged wilds of the U.S. state of Georgia, where there lived a fur trapper by the name of John Dent and his partner, Will Mario. And for years, they had a good partnership and reveled in the bounty of wildlife in the region had to offer, making a good amount of cash on their fur trapping enterprise. Yet, things supposedly changed in the spring of 1834 when the two men got into an argument over how to divide their winter catch. Mario was under the impression that Dent was trying to cheat him, and it soured their business deal, and things eventually escalated into a physical altercation in which Dent stabbed Mario to death in a fit of bloody rage. Dent at the time had fallen in love with a young woman named Molly Peters, and with charges of murder hanging over his head and blood on his hands, he allegedly took her away to head west and escape to a new life. Eventually settling in the wilderness of Texas, just outside of a town called Dolores, near the junction of Devil's River and the Rio Grande. The town itself met a tragic end when it was attacked and its residents massacred by the local native tribe, who, according to legend, unceremoniously dumped the bodies of the murdered into a haunted lake that would go on to be called Espantosa, meaning frightful. Dent and Molly managed to survive this ruthless raid in the wilderness within their log cabin far enough away from the killing spree to escape notice, and they continued to eke out a meager existence on the fringes of society, there out in the rugged badlands far from any other settlements. Dent worked on trapping enough fur to make the money they needed to move back into civilization, which was becoming ever more important as Molly was pregnant. According to the tale, Molly went into labor one day, and Dent had no choice but to leave her at the cabin by herself and head towards a small settlement 40 miles away. Little more than a goat ranch outpost just across the border in Mexico. On his way there, he was supposedly a fierce thunderstorm that descended upon him, and he was luckily able to get through the slashing rain and wind to find the help of a Mexican rancher and his wife, who agreed to go with him back to his cabin to help. And unfortunately, as they were leaving, a bolt of lightning would crash down and to strike Dent dead in front of the horrified Mexicans. And the storm became so ferocious that the couple had trouble reaching the trapper's log cabin where Molly was by herself in labor. It was not until morning that they reached Dent's home to find his wife dead, appearing to have died in childbirth, yet oddly, there was no sign of the baby. And considered that there were wolf tracks found all over the place, it was assumed that the animals had dragged it off to eat it. This might have been the end of the story, the fate of John Dent, Molly, and their baby, just another casualty of the harsh era in a lawless, wild land. If it were not for the strange reports that began to come in over the years, in 1845, exactly 10 years after Molly's death, a boy at San Felipe Springs claimed to have seen a creature with long hair covering its features that looked like a naked girl, running about with a pack of wolves attacking a herd of goats. This report was widely met with skepticism by many of the locals, but the story struck a chord with other settlers of the area who believed it. Let me look at the clock. Oh, yeah, I think we're okay. The tale of the wolf girl of Devil's River would get more fuel when a year later, a native woman in the same vicinity claimed to have seen a naked, wild-looking girl eating a freshly killed goat alongside of some wolves. According to the report, when they realized they had company, they all bolted, and the girl was described as running on all fours and being able to keep up with the wolves. When the bizarre report was investigated by locals, they were allegedly found both tracks of wolves and those that looked to be from a young child. It was around this time that people would begin making the connection between the sightings and the tragic tale of Dent and his missing baby, speculating that the wolf girl was in fact the missing child taken away to be raised by wolves far from human contact. As more sightings of the girl came in, a hunt was organized by an armed posse of ranchers to go look for the girl and her pack and investigate whether there was anything to these tales. The band of cowboys purportedly found her in a remote side canyon, accompanied by 2 large wolves that ran off at the sight of the men. The girl ran in a different direction, and although she was described as being extremely swift, the party allegedly managed to corner her in a crevice between some boulders. Capturing her was apparently no small feat, as she growled, howled, clawed, and bit at the men like a wild animal, displaying strength far beyond what her size suggested, and a ferocity that stunned them all. In addition to this, one of the wolves that had run off came in to help her, rushing the cowboys only to be shot and killed. This is said to have caused the girl to faint, perhaps out of fear or sadness at seeing her companion gunned down, and she was tied up to be brought back to the local ranch. Upon reaching the remote ranch where they had the wolf girl locked up in a storage room, where they tried to offer her food and water, only to have her continue her animalistic rage to the point that these grizzled tough men were afraid to go anywhere near her. That evening, she supposedly howled like a wolf nonstop, and these howls were answered by wolves out in the surrounding wilderness, which were joined by more and more until it all reached an eerie, unearthly crescendo that echoed about the area, in which was an intensity none of the ranchers had ever heard before. According to the story, these wolves drew closer and closer to the ranch. Finally descending upon it with a great fury, the shocked ranchers then began shooting at the savage animals in a panic, baffled at just how many of them there were and how bold, bloodthirsty, and vicious they seemed. This battle lasted for some time amid a cacophony of snarls and gunshots before the wolves suddenly and without warning loped back off into the night to leave the terrified ranchers wondering just what was going on. Realizing that the wolves had come for the girl, they went to check on her and found that she was gone, presumably escaping to be once more with her wolf family. For years there was no other sign of the wolf girl of Devil's River, and it seemed as if she had just vanished, but there would be a bizarre alleged sighting in 1852 in an area of the junction of the Pecos River. Here some gold prospectors claimed to have stumbled across the sight of a naked woman on the riverbank in the process of breastfeeding 2 wolf cubs, one on each of her breasts. The mysterious woman would reportedly jump to her feet and run off with both cubs into the wilds at a speed no normal human could match. And this is allegedly the last real sighting of her. After that, there were just stories of unconfirmed tales of people seeing her out there, as well as finding barefoot human footprints mixed in with those of wolves, and more fanciful yarns about people in the most remote wilderness coming across wolves with distinctly human-like features, giving it a further vibe of pure folklore. Yeah. As the wolf girl faded from memory, it became a sort of obscure legend of the area, but there have been strange stories that have continued up into more modern times, and it seems that if the wolf girl ever did exist, then she never really left even after death, because there have been sporadic reports of seeing her ghost prowling about the wilderness, usually described as a white apparition with long hair that runs on all fours, only to vanish into thin air. Considering that much of the story of the wolf girl is hard to corroborate or verify, with even the existence of John Dent and Molly largely unknown, and that it is mostly known from local lore, it's hard not to get the feeling that this is nothing more than just a scary campfire story told by ranchers and prospectors back in the day, which went on to take on a life of its own. Yet it is a very unusual and spectacular tale amongst stories of feral children, and one which has endured and managed to fascinate even to this very day. So, feral children, is it paranormal? Yeah, I think it is. And what surprises me in that story is the takeaway is that this girl was, if it is indeed real, if these reports have any credibility to them at all, this girl displayed physical abilities that seemed inhuman. And you got to think, well, is it because we really are capable of so much more physically? Maybe we are. I don't know. But, ladies and gentlemen, those are the kind of questions I always have after this stuff. But we are coming to the very end of our show tonight. I, again, apologize for the technical difficulties, the inability to answer the phone lines, and the inability to stop talking before the breaks. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed it all the same. Thank you all for being here and being part of it. And just know that I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. Remember to laugh. And I will see you tomorrow night for the Night Terrors, pending any other unforeseen circumstances. But love you guys and have a great night. And I'll talk to you soon.